Did you know that 1 out of 8 young adults in the United States have been diagnosed with depression, the most common mental disorder in the world? Has anyone ever informed you that suicide is the second leading cause of death in adolescents due to mental illness? Are you aware that depression has increased significantly over the last few years from a percentage of 8.7 to 13.2? I learned that depression is expressed not only in feeling, but also in daily activities. One thing I've observed while being around family members with this disorder is that it can overpower some of the most happy-looking individuals. Depression is not something that goes away by itself. It is something that needs to be treated by a professional who knows and understands what the individual is going through. While researching, I learned that depression is not only caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain, like some may think, but can be triggered by numerous things. It amazed me that some of the things we think are completely harmless are some of the most detrimental on an individual's mental health. Studies have shown that depression in adolescents is at a rapid increase as the future progresses. It is essential that we, as Americans, recognize the causes of depression and become more aware of the people around us as we could possibly save a life. With all of this being said, I feel it is important to discuss how some of the major causes of depression, like diet, social media and screen time, and a chemical imbalance of the brain, can have further destruction on our health rather than only scratching the surface of this mental disorder. Let's start with the first cause of depression, diet. What you eat can determine your mental state and physical well-being. Dr. Eva Selhub, a known expert in the fields of resilience, stress, and mind-body medicine, has shared that the majority of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that regulates sleep and appetite, is found and produced in the GI tract. The GI tract is composed of millions of nerve cells that not only help with digestion, but emotion as well. These cells create neural pathways between the gut and the brain that allow communication and a response to the foods being consumed. Therefore, the foods that we eat, our brain is always going to share a response, and we'll decide whether or not we like that food and how we react to that food, which is why sometimes we do not like dairy or different things, or they bother our bodies because our brain is deciding whether or not it likes it or it does not. I had this one girl that I went to high school with who looked happy all the time. She was super smart, super educated, knew so many different things, so many different people, super popular, super loved by tons of people, who was actually going through a lot of hard times, which it wasn't apparent because she hid it so well. Recently, within the past month, she has shared her story about her eating disorder that she was dealing with and her depression that came after it. She got this eating disorder. She was bulimic, so she was throwing up what she was eating because she was feeling bad about it. And she was fighting this battle for months without people even realizing it, without her family realizing it, without her friends realizing it. And eventually she decided she needed to seek help. She went to her therapist, who diagnosed her with the eating disorder and depression, and she fought for months by herself. And after seeking help from her therapist, she was finally able to get a grip of her eating disorder and her depression, and has since been doing super well and has been willing to share her story as it can change the lives of others. And one quote that she shared that I thought was beautiful was, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Everyone around us has different stories and different backgrounds, and it's important that we are aware of those things because everyone is fighting their own battles and everyone has their own struggles. Eating foods that truly make an individual's mind happy are the ones that will improve their overall health and wellness. Another cause of depression is social media or screen time. Excessive amounts of social media use can take a serious toll on one's daily life. Dr. Bobrick, with a PhD, a clinical psychologist at the Child Mind Institute, states that FOMO, or the fear of missing out, is a real thing and many teenagers struggle with it. He mentions that many people try to portray the perfect life on their social media accounts, and this can have a huge effect on the lives of others, so much so that people will begin comparing themselves to each other and start lacking in self-esteem. Social media can cause feelings of loneliness because of the lack of human interaction. There have been times in my personal life where I've had to delete different forms of social media that I had because I saw different things that people were doing and it made me feel super upset that I wasn't involved. My friends would be out doing something and I wouldn't get invited, and I felt sad and lonely and betrayed that they didn't want to invite me. So there have been times in my own life where I've had to delete those social medias, and when I did that, it made me feel so much better. I wasn't spending as much time on my phone. I was talking to my family more, hanging out with different friends who wanted me to be in their presence, and it brought up my mood and made me feel a lot better about myself, and I felt included. I felt a part, and I had relationships built with friends that I hadn't been as close with, so my relationships were stronger, and I had better relationship with my family. Those who spend a significant part of their day on social media are more likely to feel less satisfied with their day. Researchers have conducted many studies that support the previous statement. Finally, depression is caused by a chemical imbalance of the brain. A chemical imbalance of the brain can cause individuals to feel one emotion stronger than another emotion, thus causing depression. Researchers from Harvard University have shared some of the neurotransmitters in the brain that, with a decreased amount, could cause depression. Some of those are acetylcholine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and dopamine. Researchers from the Journal of Neuroscience have discovered that those who were depressed had a hippocampus that was smaller than the average by 9 to 13%. The lack of nerve cell production and chemicals in the brain can cause this. Each person's body is unique and is made up of various different amounts of chemicals. Those who have a healthy imbalance are at risk of depression, or a heavy imbalance are at risk of depression. This issue can cause other parts of the brain to react differently as well. With all of this being said, it is apparent that depression is not something to take lightly. Depression is a serious mental disorder that can make one feel extremely weak and empty. But there is hope. Organizations such as the Anxiety and Depression Association of America and National Alliance on Mental Illness are out there to provide treatment and help heal the wounds. There are also many trained professionals that can provide the counseling necessary for someone entangled in the ropes of this heart-wrenching illness and provide comfort. In the moment, it may seem like all hope has disappeared, just as 16 million teenagers have experienced and expressed. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and happiness truly can be found with the right resources. Thank you.